Hello, I'm Dana Rizzo, your door-to-door storyteller, and I'd like to give you a story. This story is called Professional Help by Joe Campbell. My friend Filmore is a changed man. He started changing, poor fellow, when he posed for a full-length portrait. As soon as Filmore got in front of the camera, the photographer repositioned the lights. "It will smooth out some of the wrinkles," he said. After studying my friend for a while, the photographer switched lenses. "It will trim some of the fat," he explained. This seemed a bit like cheating, but Filmore was not the sort of man to make a fuss. When in doubt, he thought it safest to defer to the experts. The photographer had him put one foot ahead of the other. "It'll get rid of some more blubber," he confided. He rearranged Filmore's hair to hide the bald spot. "It will melt away the years." After some final adjustments, a push here, a pull there, he pronounced Filmore fit to be photographed. "That's the best we can do at this stage." When Filmore saw the proofs, he felt uneasy. He could recognize himself all right, but it was like looking at an early edition. "Don't worry," the photographer said. "I can touch up those jowls and that neck waddle to match your slimmer figure and more ample hair. I do it all the time." The finished portrait looked like an even earlier edition. Although Filmore still recognized himself, he wasn't sure whether anyone else would. "What will I say when my friends see it?" he wondered aloud. "I wouldn't show it to them just yet," the photographer advised. "Just yet?" "Not until you've had a hair transplant." A hair transplant? Initially, he was shocked. On reflection, he saw that the photographer had a point. If Filmore wanted to be taken seriously, he had better live up to his image. I didn't know photographers transplanted hair," he said. "We don't, but I can refer you to a doctor who will have you looking like your portrait in no time." Filmore made an appointment, and before long, he was in the midst of a transplant series that was restoring his hair to its youthful best. He felt quite pleased with himself, increasingly so as the series proceeded. The doctor seemed increasingly dissatisfied. "This will never do," he said as he examined the final transplant. "You can't put new wine in old wineskins, and you can't grow new hair on an old head." Filmore couldn't help but agree. "What can I do about it?" he asked. "Your best bet is a facelift to tighten up the skin." Filmore felt that he had no choice but to have one. "Go ahead," he said. "Lift my face." "In case you're wondering," the doctor said, "we include the eyelids to remove the droop and the brow to eliminate the furrows." "Of course," Filmore said. "Lift them all. The higher the better." "But only if—" The doctor stopped in mid-sentence. He was inspecting Filmore's jowls and neck waddle. "Is something wrong?" Filmore asked. "Terribly," the doctor said. "If we don't remove the fat from those folds of skin, we may as well not do anything." Filmore signed on for his first liposuction. When the operations were done, he was delighted. His hair and face looked the same as they did in the portrait. The doctor didn't share his enthusiasm. "You really should do something about the receding chin," he said. I hadn't noticed," Filmore replied, "but now that you mention it." Filmore signed on for his first implant. The surgery was such a success, he scarcely recognized himself in the mirror. When the scars had healed, he went for what he thought was a final checkup. The doctor seemed out of sorts. Are you disappointed?" Filmore asked. "On the contrary, it's probably my best work. The problem is your head no longer matches your body. It's too good for it. Look at that pot belly. Look at those love handles." Filmore looked at them. There was no denying he was a medical embarrassment. He quickly agreed to a tummy tuck to rein in his belly, and more liposuction to restore his waist to its youthful proportions. "Anything else?" he asked. "As a matter of fact, yes. While I'm at it, I ought to give you a chest implant to augment the pectoral muscles. It beats working out in the gym." I should do the same for your calf muscles." When the doctor had finished with him, Filmore could scarcely believe his eyes. He was, as they say, a new man. So new that he had to return to the photographer for another portrait. The earlier one no longer resembled him. The only problem was that Filmore had difficulty living up to his appearance. He looked young and virile, but he didn't really feel that way. He asked the doctor about it. "It's nothing to be alarmed about," he said. "We've rejuvenated the outer man. We haven't renewed the inner man yet." "Yet?" "A few organ transplants and you'll feel as good as you look." They're working on Filmore now. When they're done with him, he'll be a senior citizen. No doubt he'll be the most energetic and fresh-looking senior you've ever met. The fountain of youth is not the fountain of truth. The other day, he got a flyer in the mail from a mortician who specializes in making the dead look more vibrant than the living. He's an expert, unfortunately. Filmore doesn't see how he can refuse signing up for a regimen of postmortem cosmetology. When I last spoke with him, he gave me some advice. "Stay away from photographers," he said. You just listened to Professional Help by Joe Campbell, read to you by your door-to-door storyteller, Dana Rizzo. Thank you for listening.
First published in Gilbert Magazine, a publication of the American Chesterton Society. A production of We Are One Body Audio Theater.